If you're looking for an amp to expand your tonal palette and you want to combine some British and American voices in one amp, this might be just the ticket for you. Hey everyone, this is Karlis from Amalgam Audio, and in this episode of StoryTime we're going to take a look at the divided by 13 FTR 37. So it's always like walking on a tightrope for amp designers to decide between going with the classic design or doing something unique and new and to add something to the tonal spectrum. And that is because guitarists are folk who really love the classic tones and who are very conservative in their approach to music oftentimes. So it's a really difficult balancing act to please the part of players who want the classic tones and to add something new and to innovate, which is every amp designer's dream, basically, to do something new in this arena, so to speak. Often ends up in a beautiful sounding amp that sounds in a way that is unique and that sounds really good, but it ends up being a sound that is not very popular because that's not what most people are looking for. And this is one of those rare cases where the designer has pulled it off to strike this difficult balance and on the one hand give you some of those classic tones and use that as a base and combine it with some aspects that can't be gotten out of any other amp. So it's one of those rare perfect storm moments where this works out as a beautiful symbiosis of those characteristics. So this amp is something like a blend between a classic American and classic British tone. Especially this goes for the main channel, which has the most control over your EQ. It is supposed to be the American side of things on this amp, but I can tell that also on this American side it sounds like a mix between blackface Fender, Vox and maybe a bit of a Marshall kind of tone. So it is a very unique tone in the end. It is somewhat velvety and dark on the one side. It has like a smoky mids that are a bit subdued but not missing detail. And then there's this really shimmery top end, which is kind of a mix between a Fender and a Vox. It doesn't have the chime or this bite of a Vox sound, but it is rather the shimmery top end of a Fender Blackface amp. And what you get is literally a mixture of this darkness of a Marshall-y kind of thing that has quite prominent mids and this beautiful shimmer on top that results in an extremely complex sound. It has a lot of harmonics and it has a lot of depth. It is a very full sounding amp, but at the same time it has a lot of top end detail on the top, which doesn't get harsh. What further enhances this mix of American and British, or of this darker and chimier kind of tone, is the fact that the cabinet that is supplied as a standard with those amps, the 2x12, it features a G12H speaker, 30 watt Celestion, and the other speaker is a Celestion Alnico Blue. So as you know, the Celestion Alnico Blue is the typical Vox AC30 speaker, and the blend of those also gives you a lot more low end than Alnico Blue speaker would give you, and at the same time it also gives this shimmery top end from the Alnico. So in this case we have this head which combines those aspects and also the speaker, so the whole package is a nice blend of various shades of tone. So the amp features two channels. Channel 1 is called the click channel. That's because it has this tone knob and that is clickable. You have like preset positions for it. And this is definitely the gainier channel of the two, and this is what divided by 13 considers as the British side of things. For that it is also a very unique sounding channel. It does have a lot of prominent and wide in the regard to the frequency range mids that are really forward in this channel. Channel 2, or the normal channel, has a lot more adjustments available. It has a tone stack with bass and treble, so you can tailor the sound a lot more, and it is quite a bit more scooped compared to this channel, so you have like a more of a Fendery vibe going on there. The click channel has a lot more gain on tap. At about 2 or 3 with a humbucker guitar you're really in proper crunch territory and it starts to drive really quite a lot. So you have an endless reserve of gain here, so you can get a lot of shades of overdrives here. The normal channel has quite a bit more headroom. For single coils you would get like a edge of breakup tone at about 6, and then it starts to go into overdrive. With a humbucker equipped guitar, you would be clean up to about 4 on the volume dial. And on the normal channel, you also have a push-pull pot that will give you additional gain, so you can pull that out and back in. The amp has a full and half switch that can reduce the power of the amp, and it features a reverb, which is really unique. It is a shorter reverb pan, so it has a very characteristic reverb. Let's take a listen how that sounds. The model name of the amp comes from the power of the amp. It has a 4 6v6 tube output, which results in a roughly 37 watts of output. So on the half switch mode, it goes to just one pair of 6v6 tubes. I would consider that this amp really shines particularly well on the clean and edge of breakup side of things, especially with single coils. It is just a magic combination. It is like, as I said, it is a beautiful mix of blackface Fender style thing with some British character in there, but that also works beautifully in some more overdriven settings. But again, especially with single coils, that is a wonderful amp to match with that. So we're going to dial in a beautiful edge of breakup sound for a single coil guitar, my Stratocaster in this case, and we're going for what I would call a warm sound, which is usually how I dial in also for our captures, the settings in a way that you get enough detail from the single coils, but you do not get too flubby of a sound. And Stratocasters have actually a lot of bass output, so it's important not to overdo the bass, especially for single coils. So that's how we're going to set up our amp. The bass is going to be on somewhere on 0 or up to 1, the highest. Then we're going to put the treble to about 6. That is one of the sweet spots where you have a lot of beautiful shimmery top end, but it doesn't become overbearing for a single coil guitar. And the volume we're going to set to about 6, which is a wonderful point for single coils where you can adjust the amount of breakup easily with your playing. You can get really clean sounds out of it and dig in and get more slightly overdriven stuff for a beautiful edge of breakup tone. And another thing, if you really want to harness the full potential of this amp and the cab that it comes with, you really need to mic up each speaker individually so you can blend the speakers, which is another beautiful playground with this amp where you can mix and match the tone to your liking. So that's a great spot to adjust the response, the bass of the amp, the amount of shimmer or chime that you get. So it's a really powerful tool in itself already. Okay, so we dialed in our tone, we set up our mix, and let's take a listen how this sounds with a Strat. Thanks for tuning in our today's Storytime episode on the beautiful Divided by 13 amp. Fabian is going to play us out with some wonderful licks he played on captures we made of this amp. Like and subscribe if you enjoy what we do here, and see you around.